Hey parents, it's Toby back to talk to you about another parenting and or family topic this week. But first, before I do, I want to say thank you to a young lady named Nikki. She watched my video last week and left some really nice comments, kind of inspired me and to keep trying to do what I'm doing. It just really made my day that she left the comment in encouraging me to keep trying to make a difference to some person, even if it's just one person. So I wanted to thank her and just encourage all of you viewers to leave comments or questions below. Maybe some things that you want clarification on, or some things that you like for me to cover, or some experiences of your own that might help someone else. So please make sure that you use the forum for what I'm hoping that it will become, which is a safe place for parents to come and talk to each other about things that are occurring that and struggles or triumphs that we've had trying to raise our kids. So this week I want to talk about a subject that is something that I really struggled with, and in turn caused my son to struggle with, and that has to do around education and learning. My particular learning style is verbal, a linguistic learner. I read something and I can pretty much retain it, or if a teacher's speaking and writing things on a board, I can take notes and listen to them, retain it, memorize it, and be able to regurgitate that back out. And that's how I learn things. My son, in turn, is a physical or kinesthetic learner. He needs to have his hands on something in order to feel it and understand how it works and operates. It has to mean something for him in order for him to invest in it and be able to grasp it. And I didn't figure that out right away. And when I did, I still struggled with how to connect to him, because we were coming at the same question from two completely different lenses. And I probably noticed it early on in trying to get him to remember my phone number and my mom's phone number. No matter how many pieces of paper I wrote it on, or times I told him and had him recite it back to me, if you asked him the next day, he still wouldn't remember it. And it was finally when I just handed him the phone and started having him dial numbers and call people like over and over and over again, then that's when he picked up memorizing the phone numbers. And then I started noticing, like with math questions, if I had like little straws or toothpicks around and he was able to take those and manipulate them to help him with his math, then he was able to grasp it faster and retain that, as opposed to me just sitting down with him and having him try to figure out these descriptions and how they related, if two trains are coming at each other at the same time and all of that. So it was something that I struggled with, and our homework sessions started to become kind of tense because I didn't know how to help him. And that was the bottom line. I didn't know how to help him. It wasn't that he was a slow learner or that he was incapable. I didn't know how to help him. And then at that time, back when he was younger, most teachers taught the same way that I learned and the way that I understood things. So he was getting it at school, and then he would come home and he would get the same type of instruction from me. And it was a rough time for both of us, because we would both be frustrated. Sometimes he would just cry because I think he really felt that I did not have faith in his abilities as a student, and just as someone who was smart enough. And it was the complete opposite of the truth. And my frustration was that, he's more than capable. Why doesn't he get it? And it's something that we struggled with. And I think that had an effect on him throughout school, because he never, like for me, I love school. I was engaged and enthusiastic. He just never liked school that much. He wasn't a bad student. He never failed or, had to retake a class or anything like that. He just did not like school. And I feel like part of that is my fault, that I did not understand what he needed and provided what he needed to make him feel like he could do this, and he could tackle any obstacle that came his way as it pertains to education. I did end up taking him, realizing that I could only help him in certain things. So I took him to Sylvan Learning Center for a while. And then my cousin, who I'm really close with, had a daughter his same age, and the two of them, the daughter and my cousin, the three of them have a really special bond. But Keely, that's my cousin, she was able to explain things to him and connect with him in a way that I couldn't. So we would go to their house, or they would come to our house after school sometimes to sit down and do homework together. And her daughter had a more similar learning style to the type that I had. So there were some things that I could help her on, and or my son, and then, you know, my cousin, there were some things that she could help her daughter or my son on. So it was kind of became like a little collaborative effort there with the two of us as far as their homework. But I just had to really realize that I wasn't the person to help him figure out some of these things, because I had a completely different learning style, and to my disappointment in myself, I wasn't adapting my instruction or adapting what I was trying to do in a manner that helped him. There's some things, that I was able to figure out as far as, having props on hand to help him understand certain things. But other things, I just couldn't figure out ways to connect with him. If you have to read a paragraph and then answer these questions about it at the bottom, I trying to translate that into a way where it wouldn't stress him out or be difficult for him. I just was never able to figure that out. And some people could, and helped him with that. It just was not me. I was not the person to help him on everything that he needed help with. And I think if I have figured out the different types of learning styles that we had earlier on, it wouldn't have been that struggle. It wouldn't have been so stressful for us. And not that it was 100% bad. It just could have been better. And so that's something that I think is important, because not everyone learns or receives information in the same way, and somehow if the sooner you can pick that up, the sooner that you can understand that and how you can apply it, and where you might need help and assistance or aids, the better for your child and for yourself, because you want it to be not a terrible feeling for them. You don't want them to feel like a failure. And so those are, that's something that I really wish I had gotten a little bit earlier, that I figured out. In my one of my videos, I said, you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know, but he didn't know either. And so I'm trying to figure this out. He's trying to figure it out. And we were, at certain times, it just got really stressful. Now getting older, once he kind of identified who he was, and I identified who he was, late middle school, high school, those things just kind of smoothed out. So I'm talking more of his younger years, elementary years, which were also those formative years. That's why I feel like, the struggles we had in those early formative years really colored the way he saw school up through graduation, because even though it got better and he identified himself, how he was able to learn and how he could retain information and how he could do well in school, that those early years of us struggling with that, I still don't think he ever fully liked school, even after he got it. Because at a certain point, the light clicks on and you're like, aha, I understand all this now. But I think because of those little trials that we had early on, even when the light clicked on, he was like, yeah, but I still don't have time for this nonsense. I'm just doing what I need to do to get out of here. So I just, hopefully, if you have a child and you can identify early on like what your learning style is and what the child's learning style is, and there's so much information out there now where you can identify. There's so many agencies and social service agencies or academic agencies, tutoring services where you can go to get help. I just did not avail myself of all of those at the time, and because they were probably available when my son was younger too. I just was trying to figure it out myself, and I didn't know. What how to help him, but I don't think I was actually hurting him. I just wasn't helping the situation. So that's kind of what the video is about today, is just trying to better understand your child, realizing that there are going to be some limitations in what you could do, and then trying to avail yourself of all of the resources that are out there. I have family members that were able to come in and help my son, and then he had friends that were the same age that would be able to sit down in like a group, and they do homework and figure things out. And then I would read books about different learning styles, so then I could try to introduce things that I thought might help him as well. So it wasn't, I don't want to paint the picture that it was just, he was a failure and I was a failure. We just were for a few years there, we just really struggled. And I realized that it was my fault that we struggled, because I didn't have all the tools that were needed in the home to supplement what he was getting in school. I wasn't fully prepared and knowledgeable enough at home to supplement what he was getting in school and be able to pick up the slack from what he was getting in school, or help redirect and redefine what he was getting in school, because his teachers were presenting things in the same way that I was. So when he came home, I felt like, if I'm helping and making sure that he's doing well in school, I should have had more tools and resources to help him to be able to grasp these things and connect with the teacher, connect with me in a way that was going to advance him and build up his self-esteem and his confidence, and just build up the fact that it's not a chore for you to be in school and try to figure this out. So hopefully that makes sense, and I'm not being too confusing. And then the other thing that I think is really helpful is one thing that I try to encourage him to read, and he would read sometimes. If it, like I bought him a book when The Rock first came out, and he liked The Rock, so I bought him like autobiography or something, and he enjoyed that. So I started trying to pick books that not things that I might enjoy, but just noticing types of games or shows or athletes that he was in tune with, and picking genres that were more, would catch his attention. And then one day, I think it was Christmas or maybe his birthday, I bought him a coffee table book about Michael Jordan. And I was like, well, it's kind of an interesting thing to buy a kid as a coffee table book, but you never know. And you think coffee table books are kind of frivolous, or they're, just full of pictures, which they are, but there's always a lot of dialogue in there too that talks to you about what was happening in that person during this time, or why they took this picture, or maybe it's about their life. There are all types of different coffee table books out there, and he really liked it. So then I started buying him coffee table books on types of cars and Corvettes, and he loved cars and old antique cars. Or he liked comic books, so there are coffee table books that talk about the different comic characters and DC comic books. And I just actually got him one for Christmas this past year, and it was about hip hop. Oh gosh, I'm not a hip hop person. Did it start with Kool Herc? Is that a name? A person, Kool Herc? Anyway, so like from the beginning of it in New York, wherever it occurred, up till now. And so it had the history of it. Of course, a lot of street art and pictures, but it had the actual like written history of it. And this thing was so big, when I put it on my seat, the seatbelt thing started beeping. I thought it was another person on the seat. That's how big this book was, or is. And he loved it. I mean, he has it in his car now because whenever he takes a break from work, he sits in there and reads this book to learn the history about hip hop. So it's something that I still buy for him as an adult and that he likes. And I satisfy my little inner, mom thinking, is this kid reading enough? And he's a grown man. But it's something that he's used to seeing from me and something that I'm used to doing. And it's a way we can still connect because then he can educate me on it. And I still have no clue who these people are. But you have to kind of find, what your kid's interested in, and how you can connect with them on that level, and then gradually move the needle forward, move them forward. But it starts young. It starts super young, identifying that learning style. Are they a physical learner? Are they a auditory learner? Are they a kinesthetic learner or a linguistic learner? You have to figure out what you are and then what they are, and then how you can marry the two. And if you need to bring supplemental things in there to help fill in the gaps. And so that's something that I learned the hard way. Again, we had some tough years. It turned out okay, but I wish we hadn't had that struggle that we did when he was younger, when he was in, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, that we had those struggle years that, in my opinion, colored how he felt about school until he graduated. So that's what I have for you this week. And hopefully, maybe, if you have kids at home, you'll kind of start studying and looking up things about learning styles and how you can apply it in your own household. I'm still working on my technical issues because I noticed in my videos I've got this like glare in my glasses. If I don't have these things on, I'm completely blind. So I have to have the glasses on. I just have to figure out how to change the lighting, or maybe I need to change my spot where I do this and move off of my desk, but that's neither here nor there. So thank you again for watching. Again, all of this is just driving home the point that we are more than just single parents, single mom, single dad, or economically disadvantaged parents, that we are more than statistics that might apply to us, and that we as a community can uplift each other and our kids. So please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Hit the little bell so that you get an alert whenever I put a new video up. And I will talk to you next week, and maybe I'll have the little glare from my glasses gone. But if not, just bear with me. All right, thanks. Bye.